If you're here today, it probably means you've been carrying more than you let people see. This isn't a podcast about fixing yourself. It's not about positivity. It's not about healing timelines or becoming the best version of you. This is Surviving Chaos, a brutally honest, heartbreakingly funny, emotionally raw comfort space hosted by a hot mess and her emotional support pit bull. This is a place for people who are still here but have no idea how they made it this far. I'm Chelsea, and I didn't start this podcast because I have all the answers. I started it because I've survived things I don't always have words for, and I know how lonely healing can feel. So if you're still here, that is enough for today. Give yourself permission to rest. Today on Surviving Chaos, we're going to be talking about survival. Unfortunately, I learned how to survive before I ever learned how to rest. Because of my childhood, I learned to crave chaos. Not because I wanted it, but because it was familiar to me. It was comfortable. I loved it and hated it at the very same time. I could still hear my dad's voice very clearly as he told my sister and I that he was going to spend a couple nights at my grandmother's house. He insisted that he would be back to play with us. I didn't know it at the time, but that was his way of telling us that the only family I had ever known was over. I was in second grade at the time. Not long after that, the school called my parents and insisted they come in together immediately. The principal told them that my behavior had changed. I had suddenly started bullying other kids. I went from being the child who stopped running her race during track and field day to help the girl who had fallen on the ground behind her, to a monster that was picking on other kids over things as small as slappy handwriting. It just wasn't me. At the time, it wasn't about being mean. It wasn't about being bad. It was about a child who was lost. And I didn't know how to name or process these feelings. I wasn't a bad kid. I was just grieving the loss of my family. And I wasn't the only one affected by my parents' divorce. It would be crazy to think that. My mom's self-esteem took a huge hit. And all of the relationships she entered into after this divorce were not only volatile, but dangerous. Violence became such a regular part of my home that the police knew me and my sister by name. It came to the point where my dad eventually purchased a cell phone for me and my sister that we could secretly keep to call him when the tension started to escalate in the house. But here's the part that took me years to understand. I started to look forward to this chaos at home because it gave me permission to be angry. It gave me an outlet to express this rage that I didn't know what to do with in the form of defending my mother. Of course, my involvement in these situations only escalated the violence, but chaos had become familiar to me, predictable, almost comfortable. And again, I loved it and I hated it at the very same time. Eventually, I grew tired of being the victim. And this is when I decided to start my very own healing journey. What no one tells you about survival is that it isn't something you graduate from. It is an active, ongoing process that you will probably be engaging in for the rest of your life. So whether you're healing or you're still stuck in the chaos, you are welcome here. I want this to be a place where we choose to stay, even when it's uncomfortable, even when we don't know what comes next. So right now, wherever you are, let's just sit together and breathe for 10 seconds. There is a dog in my life. His name is Dallas, and he doesn't fix me. He doesn't motivate me. He doesn't ever tell me to heal faster. He just stays. His presence alone matters more than any advice I could ever receive. He doesn't care what I look like. If I haven't showered in days, if I haven't been productive, if I haven't even gotten up to play with him yet. All he cares about is that I'm here, that I stay. And in return, he loves me unconditionally. Before we go, I'm going to pull an affirmation from the jar. Now, I don't pick these ahead of time. I let the moment choose. So if this one feels right for you, take it. If not, let it pass. Today's affirmation is, I am worthy even when I struggle. If you're listening to this and everything in you wants to disappear, staying still counts. Staying quiet counts. Staying alive counts. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. You don't have to figure anything out tonight. And you don't need to listen every week. You don't need to comment. You don't need to share. And you definitely don't need to heal faster. Just stay. If you're still here, I'm really glad you decided to stay. I'll see you next week on Surviving Chaos.